of our fund, it has been an interesting ride as we've done this just being, again, 2 years old. And from the inception when we raised millions of capital, our first couple of weeks, we had all kind of critics and detractors that said, this is fraudulent, this is a scheme, this is not legit, right? And we got that from the first week that we launched before we ever even operated. And we expected scrutiny, just not so much from the community in which we are here to serve. Nevertheless, that led into 6 months later an FBI, which they call DOJ, Department of Justice, which serves for criminal, and an SEC investigation. There were no allegations made against our fund, but we believe, and our council believes, because of the level of noise and volume, right, of critics, that these dual government agencies had to do an investigation on our fund and subpoenaed our fund for over 50,000 emails, financial documents, right, phones, iPads, laptops, and all that. That went on for several months, and the Department of Justice said, and this is all in our SEC filing, it's all online, it's all public record, these are facts, said that we conclude our investigation at this time. There will be no further investigation at this time, right? That was Department of Justice, FBI. So we're like, okay, that's, one step of progress. But the SEC had to continue their investigation, which was actually just concluded in May, which said we conclude our investigation of the Tulsa Real Estate Fund, fund manager Jay Morrison, and there are no findings and no enforcement recommendation by the administration. I'm paraphrasing, I don't know if the word administration was used, right, by the agency. So I'm saying this to set the tone for viewers, partners, supporters, and all that. In just under 2 years, as we're operating and raising our assets under management to $13.7 million, resurrecting the Black House, 30,000 square foot building here in East Point, Georgia, Atlanta Metro, 5 minutes from the world's busiest airport, location, on a 2.6 acre campus, sitting in a qualified opportunity zone. We resurrected the Black House, a co-working space, a media space, right, a leasing space, office space, empowerment center for our people and for the local community. So we did that all in this 2 year period. We lent out several $1 million to black-owned developers, nearly $1 million to black women developers. We created nearly 100 jobs in under those 2 years while buying back the block in Macon, Georgia, acquiring 98 unit of apartment units, 2 blocks of 98 unit of rental units that we own in syndication with another black developer. We did all this plus more, all while being scrutinized heavily, still being scrutinized to this day, although there were no findings and concluded investigations and no enforcement recommendation, still being scrutinized. Under all that pressure, we still have performed and acted and have executed our business model as a fund, having a historic raise in April of $3.5 million of capital raise during a global pandemic, showing the confidence of the people in our fund. And we are just getting started as a company that's just over, June 1st, made us just over 2 years old from operation, right? We were formed in 2016, but did not begin to operate the fund until June 1st of 2018 on the anniversary of the Black Wall Street bombing, right? So Tulsa Real Estate Fund was birthed and named after the historic community of Tulsa, Oklahoma, and Black Wall Street. And like Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma, we have literally, from inception, been under attack. We live under attack. We live under scrutiny. We can't convince critics, and we can't convince those who are convinced that our fund is no good. There's nothing we can do about that, about them. But I want our supporters to understand this. We have an asset. This is how difficult it is to run a fund that's under constant attack. We have an asset that we are selling that we wanted to market publicly. I got the whole team on a conference call and said, hey guys, if we market this asset and we sell this asset, we will be in position to pay out dividends before fourth quarter of this year. I mean, the next couple of months, we'll be able to pay out a decent dividend to our investment pool, our partners. All we got to do is sell this one asset, which is a pretty easy asset to sell, in my opinion, in this market. We wanted to market it on our TREF page and to our email list and get all of our 15,000 partners and supporters, 100,000 supporters, to be able to help us market this property. And the team said, unfortunately, we can't even publicly advertise our own properties for sale of threat that someone might destroy or damage or vandalize our properties. Imagine running a real estate company and you can't even market your real estate openly because people, mostly of your own ethnicity and descent, hate to see you win so much and want to prove you're illegitimate so much that they can look past an SEC and FBI investigation. They can look past no findings and no further investigation at this time and no enforcement recommendation and still think that you are not legitimate, but so much so that they'd be willing to vandalize your property. They'd be willing to put threats on your life. They'd be willing to disparage your name. They'd be willing to disrespect your pregnant wife. That much hate for who we are and what we do that it even makes it harder for us to sell our assets, to produce dividends, because we are of strong concern that someone would sabotage, our own community would sabotage our own properties just to say, I told you so, they lost, they weren't right. This is the kind of, and it just is what it is. We deal with it, just as our ancestors dealt with it in the historic Tulsa, Oklahoma of Greenwood community on Black Wall Street. But these are the facts. The death threats are a fact. We have all the screenshots, all the receipts, all the restraining orders. The threats of our fund, right? So I want to give you that context to say that our company, and soon I'm going to bring in on our new chief operating officer, our new investor relations manager, and many of our team, because I want to show you guys it's bigger than Jay. I know I'm always on the camera because I'm a spokesperson of the company and the fund manager. I want to show you that there's other families, other professionals who are all behind this, who are all working hard to do this on behalf of our people, to do something historic. And the naysayer and the hate is not going to stop us getting to our dividend day, God willing, and getting us to, but then when it's dividend day, they're going to say it wasn't fast enough or it wasn't large enough. Because there's people that are committed to discrediting our organization. But nevertheless, we're working towards that. But I want you guys to understand the level of scrutiny. There's not much peace to operate with as a manager and as a team. We just want peace and just to do our job. And mind you, think about running a business for 18 months out of 2 years, and out of 18 months, you're under a dual investigation, paying hundreds of thousands of dollars in legal fees, distractions, email downloads, audit downloads, text message downloads. And this is an environment created by the same people who still refuse to let up and disparage our name. So these are the facts.